joining me here on the Elevator Live with Odane. Here on the Elevator Live, we discuss success stories. We talk about young people who are doing exceedingly well in their community. Here, it is much more than just talk. What we do, we retake the narrative and we share stories of triumph, stories of excellence, because there are many young people across Jamaica who are doing extraordinary work. I want to share those stories. So thank you once again for joining me here on the Elevator Live. This week, it is no different. I have with me this week on the Elevator Live a young man who knows a lot about youth development. He knows a lot about youth leadership. And so it is very good to have Mr. Keino Brown with me here on the Elevator Live. Thank you, Mr. Brown, for joining me on the Elevator Live with Odane. How is everything?
Good so far, Oli, and thank you for having me. And I love initiative. Yeah.
Perfect. So talk to us about who is Keino Brown. Share with us your earlier years of growing up and what that experience was like.
All right. So my name is Keino Brown. All right. So growing up, the experience was okay for me. Basically, I grew up in the community of Cassia Park. Basically, I went to St. Andrew Technical High School. Left in 2015. Basically, and yeah, it was a good journey coming up. In a volatile community, it's a bit ups and downs. This minute violence spring up, and everybody have lockdown and everything. But it was a good journey for me growing up.
Okay, sounds good. You made the point that you grew up in a volatile community. What impact do you think that would have had on you, and how it would have influenced your work in youth leadership and youth development?
Well, it played a very important role um in my work in youth development and youth contribution because I basically experience different sides basically because my family is one that would ensure that my needs and my wants are taken care of. But then yet I had people surrounded me, in the same community that their family could not help them to do the same that my family could do. So that gave me my driving force to help them basically. And so that basically as a lighted the flame in me, you know, to reach out to other people in need, you know, to help them because I was already getting help. So, I stretch a hand basically the bridge to them.
As certain and that's really commendable that you have been able to see life in this way. But you made the point that from your standpoint, your circumstances were a little bit better than some of those who were around you. But was there ever a point in your life where you think that you might have chosen the other way, other than going into leadership and youth development? Was there ever a point where you think you would not have gone into those?
I say yes because as growing up in this in basically in a city, you have two choices. You either go the right path or you go to the wrong path. And I basically, looked at it, looked at both paths, and say, all right, then which one is more growing? Because yes, both are growing because you can grow from a little man to become a dan, but then we end up after being a dan. I start on the right path and I say, all right, I can go to be a leader. And then I can be a Prime Minister Youth Awardee. I can be a Heroes Day awardee. I can be in other things, and I'm still living. So the right part was the right choice.
Perfect. And I'm happy that you chose the right path. You kind of touch on it with the Prime Minister Youth Award, but let me ask you about your journey in youth leadership. Share with us some of your work in the youth space.
All right. So well, all right. So I started out basically through Action Jamaica. As one day I was at school and they had some flyers going around, and I started volunteering with them. Then a year after, my cousin saw me going to these places to volunteer, and then we came up with a group of us, with some other members, came up together. We wanted to have because it was GSET at the time, and then we saw that the grades were very poor in GSAT in the community. So we said, all right, then we can't just do regular school every day. We have to do something more fun and more rewarding. So we said, all right, come with a competition. And we started a quiz competition, something like school challenge quiz. For the kids with GSAT questions. And then basically that flamed, into continuously having we started a youth club after the competition to continuously helping these kids with their homework and assignments and GSAT classes and everything, and then it basically volunteering for me flamed up after that, because I went to the National Youth Council of Jamaica, I went to the Parish Youth Council. I became more integral in my community councils, the STCs, the Citizen Association. I'm more, integral in a lot of things, Persons could call upon me to make suggestions for other youth, to recommend the youth for work, for different programs, and, the list goes on and on, basically.
Wow, a lot of work there in youth development. And because of all of this work that you would have accumulated up to this point, you would have earned the Prime Minister's Youth Award for youth development. That is correct?
No, I got it for nation building, but
Oh,
the youth club got it for youth development.
okay. Share with our elevators what that moment was like, what it did for you as an individual.
Well, the moment was very rewarding, to be recognized at one of the highest youth awards in the country. It was a very great moment, I must say. The feeling that you are being highlighted for the contribution that you have been doing, is very great. It was great, but a great moment,
Certainly, I could imagine. How did that, do you think, kind of inspired other young people to pursue the path that you would have been on? Because I'm sure there would have been some amount of inspiration for other young men, especially.
Yeah, because persons who know and saw me, understand the journey, where I'm coming from. You're from Cassia Park, running the gully side, you know, come to go to, one Devon House of the Prime Minister, the House of Jamaica, to collect a big award. So that was a great moment for a lot of youth, around me. And a lot of people also in other parts of the island. That song is say youth continue the great work, see the work you do. And you put a flame now if we want to do it too. Because if you can do it, we can do it.
Certainly. And that's the kind of narrative, the discussion that we want to share on this platform. We want to give the stories
Right.
like yours to young people, to tell them that these persons can do it, so you can also do
Right.
it. So I want to ask at this point, there exists a lot of young people who are languishing not only in the inner city, but right across the country. They have chosen quote unquote badness as their way. What word would you have for those young people?
Well, this is right what you're going through, because sometimes some of us act out. We act out trying to get attention from our parents or even society on a whole. I would say that let us act out in the right way. Let us do the right thing. Sometimes it's hard. I understand the struggle. Sometimes depression taking, we can't hold it no more. And we feel like that is the only way we can get attention, because we try good so much time and then nobody highlight it. But sometimes man not see you, but God always see you. And then He will bless you and keep you and protect you.
Absolutely. Quite a powerful word of encouragement there. So let me inform my elevator that you are not just a youth leader, youth advocate, but you are also a businessman.
Right.
My elevators should know that you would have been featured in the Gleaner for your business venture around the time of the heights of the pandemic. Talk to us about that business venture and what motivated you to go into business.
So, again, it came through looking at the community level. At the time, we saw that a lot of youth, were unemployed through Corona. Even myself went, after Corona came, a lot of projects were on pause. I was interning at the time at the ministry. And, everybody was at home basically. So we saw the need that, most people were staying home. So we ventured into delivery service. Sadly, we kind of paused the business because, of myself, because I reached at a point of time, I reached a point in my life where, you know, mental health, a lot of depression was coming through my way, because I was handling school, business, and community work. So what I did, I put on a pause and everything to basically heal myself and give myself some time. Because sometimes we have to take a break and then we will come back.
Certainly, and I'm sure that your comeback will be even stronger than how you started. And you made a point importantly that you have to take care of yourself because you can't pour from an empty vessel.
Right,
So,
right.
so, so that leads me to the question of how do you overcome challenges? What is your strategy to overcome challenges?
Well, I have two ways in overcoming challenges basically. One, I am I surround myself with good people. I surround myself where I have great friends and have a good family base. So some people I can lean on, right? When I'm not leaning on them, I'm leaning on God, you know, because I found myself, you know, through the depression, I became more closer with God, leaning on Him for strength and wisdom. I think those two ways basically kind of balance me, sandwich me in the middle to keep me, standing.
Absolutely. And those are good recommendation because you have to have that support system, and
Right.
tapping into your spiritual realm is also important. Since the discussion started, you have made reference to God quite a number of time, and I find that quite impressive. Would you say you are a spiritual individual of a close relationship with God?
I have become more, since um, you know, coming off the grid, giving myself time to think about life and heal myself, I have become more close to God.
And I can tell you, that's an awesome decision that you could have made. So, just to hear your views on what are some of the issues that are facing young people from your work and from what you can see in your community. What are some of the issues facing young people?
Well, education, skill, mental health. I would say, I people say them not have money, but that become a job because sometimes they get a type of job, but it's underpaid. Be underpaid. Because the job now meet the what do they call it now? It now meet the basic needs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically, four of the things that I see facing young people in my circle, but I observe basically now.
Okay, and share with us, you have done a lot of work, especially with the National Youth Council of Jamaica. Talk to us about the importance of youth leadership and why you think young people should become involved in youth leadership and advocacy.
All right. So youth leadership is basically a bridge. It's basically a bridge between us and youth on the ground and the person that make this decision for us, our politicians, our permanent secretaries, our pastors, our teachers, or principal, our leaders, basically. So the youth leaders basically the bridge to those people in upper I say it's upper Jamaica, but it's kind of another class. But
Yes,
yeah,
in higher
um
authority.
higher authority, right? So basically, in us basically getting these persons overview because all of us can talk at once, right? We have one person to talk on behalf of all of us. So now youth leadership now is basically that one voice that says to our leaders, hey, say the youth them don't in a Kingston and St Andrew want more parks, you to put more. They want more greener spaces. They want more opportunities in this type of field. So now so politicians or our leaders understand that these are the needs of our youth. Because if there's no youth leadership, basically, there's nobody talking for us. And we have to ensure that our voices are being heard. So
Uh,
I would say, yes, get involved and let us play our part in building us because we are the future.
Absolutely, absolutely. But based on your experience, do you think that the policymakers provide adequate opportunities for young people to have their voices heard? Are you satisfied
Not
that young people have those opportunities?
not 100% because most times it but my observation it is like it could become just reporting basically. It's basically ticking a box. It's not basically action work or from the heart most of the time. It's basically just ticking a box writing a report for them. That's why we have to ensure that it's not only they only tick the box. We ensure that the box it's actionized and it's in play and these things are being done. I really need to hold them accountable. Because we cannot hear say I gotta do it, I gotta do it. We need to see it being done.
Certainly. And that's an important point. And as someone with a background in policy, I can fully see where you're coming from because young people are not tokenistic. It's not about inviting us because you want to see that you are involved in facilitating young people. Young people want to be fully a part of the process, to be able to influence decisions. So that's an important point you have made. you have done a lot of work at the community level through different youth clubs. How did that prepare you for national leadership at the level of the National Youth Council?
Well, as I always say, I was grounded, basically. I was grounded in seeing the different youth, who came out in a different part of different communities that, just get up and say, so I make a change, so I want to change my community. And then that kind of, it push you to go a level where you can fight for them. Because if they took the necessary step to say, all right, I make the right choice and give their time, give their cash, because they take cash to build these clubs. I'm telling you, if they took their time and their cash and their effort to step out and say, all right, I want to do something for my community, then it inspired me to go further to ensure that these people were being well taken care of, their voices are being heard properly, and resources that they're needed are being coming to them. It may not have been big, but even a little. And basically that kind of fueled me to go further.
Certainly, and I can see why. So, if any young person listening and they want to become involved, they want to contribute to youth development, share with them some of the ways or the avenues that they can use to become involved.
All right. So basically you can start from your community. You just need five neighbors, five, persons in your community to just start. Start. Even one time, I went to a club in Marvally, and the president told me that sometime I just him and the chairs them come a meeting. But he came every day, Shanari. He came every day the same way, and then persons continually come and come and come till he had a full room of people. So you just have to just start. Right. Start from the community. You can reach out to your youth development officer in your parish, in your area. You can reach out to your SDC officer in your area. If you have a CDC officer, basically you can reach out to get assistance. And you can reach out to me on Instagram also, because if I ask any advice, I have no problem answering you. I even direct you to persons that I know we can assist you.
Certainly, certainly. So I would want to ask you now, you have done a lot in the youth space. What next for you? What are your short term to medium term objectives?
What next for me? I'm kind of still at that point where because my youth days are running out. you know, my youth days are running out. I'm getting very, going near there soon. So currently now, basically, I am, trying to come back. As I said, I took a break. I'm trying to come back. So I'm come back in, basically in my community. Right now, we're finishing up our community library. We're basically rebuilding it. We got a grant from DNG Foundation of $1 million. So
Wow.
basically, yeah, we're basically fixing up back the library, the community center, making the space more friendly and more safe. Having more classes, as I said, that we want to look at, as I told you, the problems in the community, mental health. So we want to have some more mental training, because we have a lot of youth smoking, going to the weed, basically to help with the depression, but that's not a good way. So we're kind of trying to do some mentorship, some skills training. We're going to partner with DMG Foundation in doing some bartender and merchandise training. Basically to try to help people, to direct them in their path. National leadership for me, I'm not sure yet, as in if I might step back out or get back involved in national leadership, but that's still on the table for me, basically. But
Oh,
community-wise, that's where I want to be, because that's where you see the real work and the real growth.
Absolutely, absolutely. Throughout the discussion, you have made several reference to mental health, and that speaks volume, and especially coming from a young man. Do you think much has been done to promote safe space for discussions about mental health in Jamaica? What are your thoughts on that?
Not much have been done. A lot of talk have been done, I can say. A lot of talk have been done, but action wise, I've not seen any action wise. And you see a lot of flyers of mental health, do this, do that, but nothing now reach you. You know, feel that because you have to ensure that you're connected to the ground, to the youth and on the ground. Because in my view and my opinion, I think one of Jamaica's biggest crime problem is mental health.
Mhm,
People not knowing how to deal with things, they just act out and this, so me I just do this and it's my business.
mhm.
But mentally they're not stable. They're not, fit, basically. So I think if we can ensure that we're reaching the youth from the corner, we tell them, say, not smoke the weed because that now take away depression, that now take away anxiety. Because even not we know that he have depression either. Even not we know that he have anxiety either. These things they don't know. So they just do things to try to basically, to please people, to make them other people feel good, so them can feel good about themselves.
Certainly, certainly. You made an important point there that the support that exists, it must move out of the central ministry, for example, and go more into the community, and services like mental health delivery has to be delivered at the community level to reach people, because
Right.
there is the prevailing stigma surrounding mental health. But as a young man, who all of us go through some pressure at this point or at some other point, how do you deal with maintaining good mental health?
Um, how do I maintain? All right. So basically, I said that one of the things I became more closer with God. One of the things that I ensure that I have a good support system, and one of the things I ensure that I spend some time with myself basically, to understand myself, to understand my feelings, to understand my emotion, and control them. Because once you can control your emotion, control yourself, you're very powerful. You don't need nothing else.
Indeed, and that's an important point there. You made reference in terms of knowing yourself. That's critical to being able to manage your feelings and your emotions. And you made the point that maybe a lot of the violence that we're seeing, it might be fueled as a result of mental health challenges. So that is definitely something that policymakers must look out for.
Right. Yeah.
And the pandemic would have definitely contributed
Right.
somewhat to that. But how did the pandemic affect youth leadership or youth or community work? What impact it had on community work?
It had a major impact. I can say that the COVID had a major impact. Because when we as leaders, even for myself, when you're used to to be at club meetings, when you used to socialize and be around tens of 20 and 30 our youth leaders talking about ideas, joking, laughing, and then to be locked up in a space where you say where no matter you can't go outside, you can't touch nobody, you can't hug nobody, you can't, I think, it basically we were reprogrammed basically, from what we used to. And then for the clubs now, basically through, because in maintaining youth clubs, basically you have persons, funds, and everything, and then that basically hindered. COVID kind of dampened not our social life, but our pockets also. So then the donation, used to come to the club for help with the local the local feed, the feeding of the homeless or feeding of the community member or elderly. That basically had to stop. Sorry about that. That basically had to stop. And I say it had a major impact, because even though a lot of clubs went down, a lot of groups never came back up.
Wow, a lot of work there for activists like yourself to resuscitate some of these groups, because these are groups that are doing a significant work in their communities. They're basically the lifeline between chaos and some semblance of civility. So important work that they're doing there. So as we come to the end of the discussion, share with our elevators how they can connect with you if they want some assistance or some consultation to set up a youth organization. How can they connect with you?
All right, so you can connect to me on social media. I think I'm on all social media. Type in Keino Brown, and you see my name pop up. You can DM me, send me a message. I will respond. To give you assistance, because in anything in building our country, we have to be united. We have to be united in building our country and building what we want to see a Jamaica that is prosperous, that is crime free, and that is basically we have to be united.
Certainly. And as we come down to the end of the discussion, what are your parting words for young people across Jamaica? What would you want to leave with them?
Be the change. Be the change that you want to see. Because we want to see difference, but we have to be the different. We have to get up. We have to get up, add our voice to the national debates. We have to get up. We have to participate in our communities. Because if each one of us come out and say, all right, we'll create a safe space, we will have thousands of safe spaces in Jamaica. We have thousands of building a different generation. Because when the youth come up and say you want to make a difference, then them are want to make a difference. Because them say you are going to crime, them are want to think about going to crime. So be the change that you want to see. Let us inspire other youths who are coming up after us to see the change and know that there is a way. Because a lot of them don't see the way. Well, you be the way. So the next generation can see that there is a way.
Absolutely. You can be the difference. So if you're listening to this discussion, you can be the change. You can start with the man in the mirror. It was great having you, Keino. Love the work that you're doing across Jamaica. And it's quite commendable. That is the story that we share here on the elevator, because we are elevating the discussion. We want to showcase more positive influence that young people are having on